Destin stepped into the courtyard and made his way to the bamboo house. He knocked lightly on the door. It swung open with a creak, revealing Paul seated on the floor inside with his legs crossed. He was meditating, and an incense burned on an incense burner before him. "I'm here, Sir Paul. Can you please tell me about the Cherusia?" Destin bowed respectfully. However, Paul did not hear him and continued meditating with both palms pressed together. "Sir Paul, the Cherusia means a lot to me. Please tell me what you know about it. Sir Paul, sir." "Paul!" Destin frowned as he stepped forward, gently patting Paul on the shoulders. But the very next second, Paul fell backward and collapsed. His face was pale, and blood flowed from his eyes, nose, ears, and mouth. He was dead. He's dead. Destin was shocked, looking at Paul lying there lifelessly. His eyes widened in disbelief. The sudden turn of events caught him off guard, and he had trouble processing what he saw. How could this be? Why did Paul die? Who did it? Paul was a grandmother martial artist, one of the 5 ultimate grandmasters of Balerno, who was capable of killing him. The killer carried out the deed so quietly without anyone finding out. Who could it be? Destin's mind raced, trying hard to catch any trace of abnormality and make sense of the situation. However, he could not make heads or tails of the situation. Everything had happened too suddenly, without even the slightest sign. Destin crouched down to check Paul's body. He noticed that his body still had a lingering trace of warmth to it. From that, he deduced that the time of death was less than an hour ago. And before he died, he had been intoxicated by a substance that had messed with his senses, which led to delayed reactions. As for the fatal wound, Destin noticed that it was a wound on his back. It must have been a short weapon like a knife or dagger. The killer stabbed Paul in the back and into the heart, delivering a lethal blow. The blade was coated with a deadly poison to ensure nothing went wrong. It would take an extremely skilled person, or someone the victim knew personally, to assassinate a grandmother silently. Those were the only ways a person could sneak up on them or catch them unguarded. "Grandfather, here's your tea." Patrick walked in right then, but when he saw Paul's dead body on the floor, he felt like lightning had struck him. The pot of tea in his hands fell to the floor with a loud thud, shattering into a million pieces. "Destin, you killed my grandfather?" When he finally reacted, Patrick paled and stumbled back in shock. "It wasn't me. When I entered, Sir Paul was already dead," Destin hurriedly explained. Blood was on his hands as he had checked Paul's wounds earlier. He knew how misleading it looked. "There was only the both of you here. Who else could it have been if not you?" Patrick was anguished. "My grandfather had been nothing but nice to you, Destin. Why would you do such a thing?"